CM Punk gave an interview to ESPN.com. Punk is going to be making an appearance at StarCast. People lost their minds when the announcement was made. And of course, the inevitable, well, is he going to be at All Out or not? It's in Chicago. He's going to be at StarCast. StarCast is affiliated sort of loosely with AEW. And obviously that means he's going to make a surprise appearance at All Out. And then you have people who don't believe he's even going to come back to wrestling at all. But I said, be prepared. Get ready. Because this is all we're going to hear about between now and August 31st. And so it came up in the interview. Mark Raimondi at ESPN conducted this interview with CM Punk, and he said, when you do StarCast, right or wrong, there is this implied relationship with AEW. Do you have any relationship with AEW? And Punk said no. He said, I know they like to talk about me a lot. If I text Matt Jackson, hey, have a great show tonight, which I did when they had their big show in Vegas, that somehow turns into Tony Khan telling people that he's got some great relationship with me. I've said in the past that I've talked to them, but nothing ever came out of it. And ESPN said, well, do you feel like there's an expectation from fans that you're going to be showing up at All Out? And he said, well, if there's an expectation, then it's built by them. It's not coming from me. People are trying to read the tea leaves. There's nothing to read. He said, I even feel like talking about it might feel like I'm putting some kind of, negative slant on it, but I'm really not. The fact is, I know they've teased me ad nauseum. And if anybody is going to get mad, it's, at me because I don't show up. Well, I don't know what to tell you. That's one of those things that's none of my business. And ESPN said, well, when you say that they've teased you, what do you mean by that? What do you mean that AEW has teased you ad nauseum? And Punk said, well, they do these videos where they talk about me. They're constantly talking about me in the media. And again, maybe this sounds like I'm badgering them, but I'm not. It's just something that happens. I'm a popular guy to talk about. But I'm not doing interviews talking about them. If people ask me about it, I say no. I will not be there. And ESPN said, well, just to be completely clear now, that you're saying there's nothing imminent. And Punk said, the last thing I got was a text message from Cody Rhodes. And again, I almost don't even know how to reply to them sometimes because if I reply, they turn around and they do interviews and are like, oh yeah, I just talked to CM Punk. He says, I'm kind of damned if I do, damned if I don't. I always think if somebody wants to do business with me, they can come talk to me. Texting offers to me is not a really good way to do business. And they say, well, did you actually get a formal offer via text message? And Punk said, well, it was texted to me through 3 people, and an offer came in via text. He said, this was about a month ago. And he goes on a little bit more, and they're like, so is it possible that you can come back to wrestling within the next few years? He's like, look, anything is possible, but I've been saying this for 5 years. People get mad at me. I don't understand how a stranger can get furious at somebody else. It's like if I was walking down the street and I saw somebody cutting grass, I would be like, why the fuck are you cutting grass? I want you to go work at that Wendy's. Go work for Wendy's. So that was from Punk in the interview. And I have to say, I do sympathize with him in this way. He clearly was burned out on wrestling. He was burned out on WWE and everything that happened, and he left wrestling in the rearview mirror. Whatever surprise, undercover appearances he's made at indie shows over the years, he has basically excommunicated himself right out of the wrestling business. WWE killed whatever passion he still had left for wrestling. He left it behind. He did some comic book work. He was training to become a fighter. He had some UFC fights. He got his ass kicked. He apparently loves doing commentary. He loves doing MMA commentary. He can see a future in that for himself. But everybody else has been badgering this guy on social media and probably in person over the years. Hey, Punk, when are you going to come back? When are we going to see you back in WWE? You're going to go with AEW. Now imagine if you're somebody in Punk's shoes and this isn't some kind of giant elaborate work and you really just, you have no plans and you have no great interest in coming back to pro wrestling. That's kind of your old life. But imagine being asked about it and badgered about it every single day. Even by people in the wrestling business, people that you once considered friends who were trying to recruit you and all this stuff. You could see where that would get annoying. after a while. You could see where if this guy's out in public and people are saying, hey, you should come back to wrestling, if the guy has no interest in coming back to wrestling, well, who the fuck are you to tell me that I have to come back to wrestling? So, as much of as a prick as he can sometimes come off in interviews or in interactions with people and everything, and I don't know the guy personally. Maybe he's a swell guy in real life. He certainly comes across as very prickly a lot of the time. Even still, I feel bad for the guy. Because that must suck. That must suck. Having to constantly get questions all of the time. It's been 5 years. So I sympathize with him in that respect. But I gotta say this. I'm reading what Punk said here. And I know some people are going to read this and think, oh, it's a work. It's a total work. He's going to be there. This is confirmation. He's going to be it all out. Which, of course, it isn't. It isn't confirmation of anything. But I read this, and then I see what Cody posted. Cody responded to someone on Twitter, hey, did you offer a contract to CM Punk? And Cody said, well, I think he was misquoted. I know one of us had met with him in person, and yes, I texted him plenty when we couldn't connect on the actual phone, but not a contracted offer. I would not be surprised if he went back to WWE. Regardless, great wrestler, great guy, door is open if he wants it. And then Mark Raimondi, who did the interview with Punk, replied to Cody to make it very clear, I promise you, he was not misquoted. Could this all be a work? Sure, it's wrestling. Of course it can. I don't believe it is. Which is not to say that they can't work something out and Punk won't be there. But do I think they're all putting on some kind of weird, shtick here and he's already signed, sealed, and delivered? No, I don't. In fact, I'm still leaning in the direction of Punk is not going to be there. I know some people think it's a done deal. I don't think it's a done deal at all. And I take what I read here at face value, and this is a bad look for AEW. Because this guy is saying, look, you want to negotiate with me, you want to make me an offer, by all means, go ahead and make me an offer, but talk to me. Call me on the phone, try to get a meeting. You've got people in this company sending text messages through other people via second and third hand text messages to this guy, making loose offers. What is that? Are you kidding me? This is how they do business? The only person who should be reaching out to CM Punk to make an offer is Tony Khan. Not Kenny Omega, not the Young Bucks, not Cody, and definitely not by text message. What's going on here? It doesn't make any sense. If you want this guy bad enough, you should have called a meeting with him a month or two ago. Hey, I'm going to come to Chicago. I'm going to meet with you. Right? Wouldn't that be the logical thing to do? This would be a huge get for this company. And Tony Khan has said in the past that CM Punk is somebody who's been on his list as a target who he has wanted to recruit and bring into AEW. And it just baffles my mind that Tony Khan wouldn't be the one to kind of at least send feelers out to Punk, or if he had a way to get in touch with him directly, reach out to him and say, hey, Phil, if you're interested, I would love, I'm going to be in Chicago, or I could come to you. Maybe we can meet up and, grab coffee or something. I want to talk to you about some stuff. Or pick up the phone and call him. Or put out word to somebody who's got his number. Hey, tell Phil I want to talk to him on the phone if he's got some time. That's the way to conduct business. What is this nonsense about texting offers? What is this? High school? So if that's what's going on here, and then I read that Cody tweet, and my God. Hey, good guy. Yeah, we'd love to have him someday. This is not the way to conduct business. This is not the way that you recruit somebody if you really want to sign them and you really want to show them how interested you are. AEW is doing a pretty shitty job of that right now. So if they want Punk, that's what they need to do. They need to get their ass serious and get somebody official on the phone with this guy and say, listen, look, sorry, this has been going on and this is not the way that, we kind of wanted to do this. We weren't sure how interested you were. I apologize, but if you're open, let's have a conversation. That's all you got to do. Punk has not closed the door completely. I read his words. He has not slammed the door on coming back to wrestling. You've got this huge show coming up in Chicago. You've got arguably an even bigger show coming up October 2nd now in D.C. And one way to make a huge splash would be to bring in CM Punk. I know if I were Tony Khan, that's what I would be doing. I'd be getting on the phone personally myself. I wouldn't be sending my executive vice presidents to do this stuff. I'd be getting on the phone myself. I'd go to my executive vice president and say, okay, you clearly have this guy's phone number. Why don't you give it to me? I'll take it from here. Let him make the call. And let him express to Punk, this is what we're thinking. This is what we can offer. And have a conversation. And maybe it works out and maybe it doesn't. But, I read this. And look, if it's a work, then my hat's off to him. But it's a terrible one because it just makes AEW look like a Mickey Mouse operation. So I certainly hope that's not what's going on here. And if they really do want this guy and they're not just pretending that they want him, then they make him an offer the right way. And they do it directly. That's how you do business.